Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Govs on the Go Alumni Edition, a podcast featuring alumni from the College of Arts and Letters here at Austin Peay State University. My name is Dr. Buzz Hoon. I'm the Dean of the college. I'm also the host of the podcast. And today I'm talking with Greg Jackson, who graduated from Austin Peay with a degree in music back in 2000. Greg, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me on. Really appreciate it.
It's we've been trying to get this done for quite some time, and I know you have a very busy schedule, so we're going to fit this in. So let's tell everybody what's going on in your life right now. Give everybody a life update.
Well, what's happening right now, and it's funny because graduating in 2000, yes, but just had our first child. Pretty sure it's going to be a one and done. So she's 2.5 and already trying to get her hands on instruments. So that's pretty awesome. But after I left Austin Peay, went to University of Alabama, did master and doctorate in music there, taught for a while at Alabama State University and then a private school in Alabama. 2020 moved here to the Metro Atlanta area to teach orchestra in Cobb County, and then did another degree at University of Georgia, then orchestral conducting at Messiah University. So, but despite all of those other schools, Austin Peay is still my first university. I grew up there in Clarksville, so even when I return to visit family, see my mom, things like that, I still get to go by the campus every so often, and still very much in touch with Dr. Wood over there.
Okay, so that means if you have family members in Clarksville, we show this on our Austin Peay State University television station, and we'll have a good audience then.
Yeah, I hope so. If I can manage to actually want them to hear me talk for a bit, but sure.
Well, thanks for that intro, but we're going to go back to your beginning. I want to talk about what it was like growing up and how you found music, because now that you said that your first child here has found music, when did you find music and how did that happen?
So I think even before, I have an older sister. She graduated from Austin Peay also, Nicole Jackson. Trying to remember what her graduation year was. Can't remember, but she was there a couple of years before me in the science area. But I remember in kindergarten, there were some faculty members, I believe, from Austin Peay that came and played a lot of different instruments. That's how I got to first know that an oboe could project a tone for so much longer. And then my sister began piano lessons when she was 7, so I was around that a lot. I started trying to make my own instruments, and in 5th grade, got to see Austin Peay's percussion ensemble and thought, okay, that's what I'm going to do. I've got to get part of that. So started there in middle school and high school, got the scholarship to work with David Steinquest, which was great. But yeah, that's how everything started. I'm pretty sure we'll talk about the college experience. So I'm just talking about what led before I got to Austin Peay. But yeah, that's kind of how things got started. And then I found out much later that my mom played clarinet in high school along with her brothers and uncles on my father's side. They were all in music. So just pretty big kind of in the genes or in the blood type of thing for music.
Yeah, so it was destined, and your family was very supportive and wanted that to be part of your routine and part of your early life. And I think that is makes such a difference in a young person's life. Were you then did you do all the usual things, like did you do high school band and what else did you do in high school?
Yes, went to Richview Middle School, and I guess you could say my first professional paying gig was doing the Christmas concert there at Hillcrest. Oh wait, what's the church? Is it Hillcrest Church? I think. Um, then went to Northeast High School and was in band for that. Pretty much did band like I should have focused and paid a lot more attention in other classes. It wasn't until one of my favorite English teachers, because their English was sort of my favorite subject in high school. So, but Mrs. Borders in the conference was telling my mom, yeah, he does great. Sometimes he's writing music during class. I had no idea she could see that. I never did it again. I didn't get in trouble because I kept up, but it seemed like that's what I was thinking about constantly in high school.
Hmm. And now that you are a teacher, I wonder if is there anybody that you may have modeled or really saw yourself as like, if that was somebody who made a very favorable impression on me when I was a younger person.
Yeah, there's kind of three, but two in particular. Again, high school teachers, they were all great at Northeast, but um, Steinquest is still one of the people that if I run into him, I still apologize that I was a bad student. And they'll say, you weren't a bad student. I'm like, yes, I was, because it wasn't until grad school when I realized that I needed to do a bit more. I was trying to, be a percussion major and also a composition major. So it's tough balancing, but I then realized once I got older that I definitely could balance. And he then shared the story with me, which I won't repeat, of some things that he had that same conversation with a professor. And that's when I realized, okay, he understands. But his just level of expecting precision, that was a big thing. And then Dr. Wood, who I still consider my mentor and counselor on things. He's one I would like to model after, but there's just no way of becoming him. I don't think he knows who I'm talking about when I say Fraser Crane, but that is who he reminds me of. Like when you speak with him, he doesn't act like a know-it-all, but he just knows so much stuff and can relate things to something. I'm like, how do you know all of this? So I wish I was able um, to just come off that way and bring back and relate something from 1874 and how the So he's someone that I wish I could um, could model after, but just I've tried and I have failed. So I just have to be myself.
Well, they're good. I think two wonderful people to emulate and to shoot for. Those are very well respected individuals. We're going to talk about them. So, when you graduated, you decided to come to Austin P. And what kind of things did you get involved in marching band right away? Did you do those kind of things?
Right, I did. I have a little bit of I'm not the only one, but an interesting story for that. When I started, it was the year of the ice storm. So school got pushed back so much week after week after week. I think these are the right dates, but I graduated high school June 4th, which is much later than normal. And I started summer school at Austin P June 6th. So
Wow.
while everyone was celebrating graduating high school, and I tell this joke to students I have now, I end up saying, "Yeah, everybody's here, can't wait." I'm like, "Hey, let's get college classes started." And I had a professor that summer, of course, in English, and I hate that I cannot remember his name, but he was just so remarkable. But yeah, that was the process. Started college right away, 2 days after graduating high school. Then did marching band with Bob Lee, who miss dearly, and was at all the football games. That's why the stadium it just feels so different now than when I was there in the '90s. But yeah, at football games and pledged Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity also. Um, but that was pretty much about all there was time to do, other than attending, as many sporting events that I could.
I'm sure your days were full if you're doing all those different things and you're going to be a music major. And so what other, so you were, are there other things you enjoyed during your college time that you really stand out?
Yeah, I mean, this part, I wish I was saying something that was a bit more academic like, but
That's all
I
right.
really enjoyed that time at the university center, in between classes,
Hmm.
seeing friends, getting to meet new people, and just enjoying that time. And then it was always funny actually seeing some professors come in. I'm not sure how it's set up now because when I was finishing, they changed things up. But there was maybe a not snack bar, but sort of like a place where you could pick up food. So would see professors there, and I have to admit, like I said, my undergrad, I wish I was better. There was one time I wasn't that prepared for a lesson, and I did run into Mr. Steinquest, and he was like, "You should be practicing instead of hanging out here." And he was absolutely right, and I left and went to practice. He probably was joking, but he was absolutely right. So just that homecoming, which that's what is happening now at Austin P. That was always great. Going to step shows and um, not sure if you all do a bonfire anymore, but that
Still do
was
the bonfire, yeah.
yep. And the basketball games were really fun. Um, the one thing I hate, I don't think I went to as much baseball. Um, but yeah, those were sort of the things I did off campus, which or out, outside of class time. Not again, not that much. I didn't go to, Europe or anything like that.
Yeah. So can you talk a little bit about, because you mentioned Mr. Steinquest and I think the world of him as well. How did he help you grow over that period of time? Because just to let you know, Greg, I just had him on my other podcast, which I talk about faculty, and I mentioned to him, I said, you've had so many people that have come through our program here, and I think there's a little bit of David Steinquest in each one of those graduates.
I think so. For that, I almost feel like pushing myself was a big thing because it wasn't until maybe my sophomore year, and I was talking to another student, and I'm like, why is he so tough on me? And and he wasn't a traditional student, so he was older, maybe 30 or so. I actually took lessons from him when I was in high school, and he was saying, I think you're one of his first students to come in playing, you know, these different things. So he sees a lot in you. So that's why he pushes you. Once I heard that, completely changed my thought about it, and I then realized, okay, so he's just seeing that there's more in me than I'm potentially seeing. So I learned a lot more about how to dissect a problem, how to um, make sure that I was playing it accurately and just expecting more from myself. I think one thing that I was dealing with today in rehearsal was with the metronome, and I guess I didn't really know how to practice with the metronome. And once he explained a couple of specific things, it just became very obvious. And also the path for the different schools that I attended after Austin P, I can't remember where I was looking to go for a master's program. And he was like, that's fine, but you really need to look higher. He graduated from University of Michigan before, but then for undergrad went to a smaller school. And I didn't realize until I was a faculty member that you do start looking at where someone went to kind of get an idea of their methodology and things like that. So I wasn't looking to go to a huge school like University of Alabama. It was just the story for that is it just sort of happened. And once I got there and started going into the job market, I saw exactly what he meant. That was a really big thing, but also just influential with how he performed, like memorizing a full concert, how he rehearsed a group, how he made sure that everybody knew their part and everything aligned. So a lot of what I do now in rehearsal, it's directly related to the concepts I learned from Steinquest.
Well, before we leave the Austin P part of your career, I want to ask you, you must have been in the Halloween concert.
Yes, several times.
Do you remember some costumes? What kind of costume did you come as?
Guess what? Once you mentioned that, before you asked, I started thinking, what did I dress as? I can remember seeing him dress up in different things. I cannot remember one costume I ever had on at all. And that is kind of sad. I don't remember that. I can remember so many other, I can envision right now sitting in Dr. Wood's office for a composition lesson and seeing the different things he had on his bookshelf. I can remember that. I can't remember what I wore for those concerts.
I'll ask David when I see him later on today.
He won't remember either. He'll say, did Greg dress up? I'm not sure.
Well, that's terrific. So as you mentioned, when you graduated, was the plan always to go in and get a degree afterwards? Was that what you were thinking you were going to do with your life?
Absolutely. When I was in high school and I would ask others, what's your plan? They're like, I'm not sure. What are you majoring in? Oh, I'm undecided. I'm like, undecided? What does that mean? I remember on what were those interoffice envelopes? That's kind of that dark yellowish color.
Right.
I remember for some reason I had one of those. I remember in a class break writing down my pathway. It was bachelor's degree, supposed to be in education, but Dr. Wood influenced me so much I changed to composition. I think I was the first traditional graduate in the composition program. So it was bachelor's degree, then master's degree, then doctorate, then teach at a university. That was the plan. Just the schools I had, that was all incorrect except for Austin P. So that was always the plan. Moving into the orchestral side of things, that was not something I anticipated until 4 years ago.
It's interesting. So, and then when you graduated with your degree, you worked for a while in higher education. What were the benefits or what were the challenges of working in higher ed? I know them, but
yeah,
I want to hear from you.
And I'll keep faculty meeting type of things out for this, but some of it was just, I think that's when I began running into Steinquest and apologizing to him. Happened a couple times with Dr. Wood, but yeah, actually I apologized to him too, because I then started seeing what they saw other students doing, like not having things prepared. And because one time I turned in 4 measures in for a composition lesson, and he just, oh boy, he really gave me a heads up that it was not the right course of action. I was so upset with myself, just utterly upset. It never happened again. So I brought that situation up to Dr. Wood a few years ago, and he said, what you did, that's nothing. Like, you were doing just fine. But that would be a big thing that bothered me in the university setting, knowing that there were students that could do so much more, and they were just sort of letting it waste away. And then I hear back from those students every so often, hey, I wish I had done more.
Mhm.
And so that's why I'm glad I'm in this setting, because I'm trying to get students to understand that before they go to college, this is what's going to be expected. I did like in the university setting having that ability to outreach and go to other schools. It's supposed to be recruiting, but really it was teaching others and helping them to learn different things that they may not have received in school.
So not only are you teaching, but you've stayed active as a performer and a conductor. In fact, I'm just gonna. I noticed that you won second prize in the American Prize for conducting in 2019, which is awesome. So, can you explain for somebody that's on the outside looking in what kind of tools you need to have to be a conductor? Because I think that's just it's amazing.
Good. I thought you were going to say it's like almost a mystery, because it kind of is a mystery
Yeah.
that somebody motions with their hand and sound comes out, you know? So first I thought somehow you got the information that I've not put out to anybody, that for this past year, 2023, for orchestral conducting, won third prize. And I actually thought that was not as good of a video as, the 2019. So I feel like in the future, maybe I could win this thing. But for conducting, it was at the private school I taught at. And I was wanting to improve those skills because I had a little bit of conducting with Bob Lee, and then at University of Alabama. So I started watching as many videos as I could, found this video of Leonard Bernstein conducting Resurrection, and I made the mistake of watching it late at night. I kept watching over and over. Like, you could just see through the video the passion and love that he had for what he was doing. And I couldn't go to sleep until 3 or 4 in the morning. It just hit me that much. So fell in love with it at that point. And then the way that it intertwines with trying to relate what the composer has to work, it just almost fell in place of, hey, I tried to tell a story when writing music. When you're conducting, you're that translator between the ensemble and the audience. So you're sort of that communicative path between both groups. And it's just something I love. I get to go to Atlanta Symphony quite a bit, and I'm studying the conductors. It's pretty awesome, but it is sort of that mystery of what conducting is. There really is a true, complete technique to it, even though it might just seem like a lot of hand waving, but there is some very real reasons why those different things happen.
So you're an educator, you're a musician, you're a conductor, you're a composer. Of all those titles, which one do you really see yourself in terms of? Is there any one thing that you say first and foremost, I am this, or does any of that matter to you? You like to be all those things?
You are great. You have these incredible questions. Because that goes back and forth. Like right now, with some things that I'm looking to do at some point in the conducting world, I'm trying to push a lot more time into that area. But I feel like the reason I'm here, like everyone, a lot of times people wonder, what's my purpose? Why am I here? Like, I feel mine is giving a voice, and it's composition. And, somebody made a joke a few years ago that they wondered if I would be like Bach, where not really known that well, but then once I die, then 100 years from now, my music gets popular. So I that kind of took pressure off my shoulders, where I thought, you know what, I don't have to make sure that I'm writing a piece that sounds like Beethoven now. Like, I can write what I will. But I've changed recently, where I'm thinking, no, the music needs to get out there now, and it's beginning to get performed. So I think it's composition, but at the same time, being an educator, that's it's just incredible when you see not only somebody get something or obtain what they thought they could not, but I guess I say counseling sessions I have in the office, that this floor has held a lot of tears of people just needing someone to talk to about things, and then trying to encourage them. So yeah, it's really tough. Like, I feel like, as far as a career type of thing, I love being an educator, but I believe my purpose for being and what I'm here for, which would probably transcend anything that my personal desire is, I think it's being a composer.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think it's wonderful you have that opportunity to do both things, and to do all those things and do them at such a high level. And that's really neat. One of the last things we like to ask our guests, Greg, is what kind of recommendations, and I think I have an indication where you're going to go with this, but what kind of recommendations would you have for a student here at Austin Peay?
To take advantage of every opportunity, and to get to know their professors, not just sit in the class, do the work, and then be done with it, but speak with them. There are times I didn't do what I was supposed to. Once I spoke to a professor and they realized, okay, this guy actually cares, I'm going to work with him, and my grade would then go up because they saw that I actually cared and wanted to get things better. So it's the biggest thing to me is get to know your professors. Sometimes you might misunderstand the professor and they might seem scary, but if you talk to them, you realize that they're actually a person and human being. And then stay connected to the university. Not everyone gets that chance and opportunity to go to a college like Austin Peay. And there's people that wish they could be in that spot. And even though the many times people might say, "Oh, is that in Texas?" I guess because of Austin. I think many more people are realizing about Austin Peay, and the different cities and states I go to. People are like, "Oh yeah, I know about Austin Peay." So it really is growing and just turning. The funny thing is, I think it's going to grow and become much bigger than any of us can imagine right now.
That's awesome. And I have the great opportunity to meet many of our current students, and I'm going to talk, when I see them tonight, I'm going to remind them about somebody like you, because you've gone out into the world and you're doing great things, Greg Jackson. We appreciate your connection with the university.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Again, wish I could be there tonight for that event, and I really appreciate your time. Sorry if I talk too much, but
never enough. No, it's always great to hear from you.
Great. Thank you.
And thanks to all of our listeners and viewers out there for checking out our podcast. We hope that you continue to join us as we profile some of the outstanding alumni we have here in the College of Arts and Letters at Austin Peay State University. So until next time, stay safe, take care, and God bless.